All right, so this is the walls that we have set up. Let's go ahead and power through this. Same sort of process as before. I'm just going to grab these pieces. I'm going to hit F for front view, then W, and holding Alt and left clicking to rotate around. Now to create this inner wall, I'm going to hold Shift and duplicate this. Now I want to teach you something else. If I right click and go to vertex mode, you'll notice you get these vertices here. And what I can do is I'm going to press 4 on my keyboard to go to wireframe mode. I can just highlight all of these verts and bring them in. So this is another way of editing the shape of the polygonal object. So something like this. I can, now sometimes it's easier to just kind of like, notice I'm like dragging out a big marquee. Let's bring this back for a second. Like this. And sometimes if you go right click, go to object mode, and then we turn on this guy right up here, um, where we're hiding our selection, it makes it easier to go and select the face and unhide everything and just move it over. Same thing. So you can switch between face and vertex mode. Go to objects here. Now, it gets kind of annoying going up to the top here and always clicking modify center pivot. So what normally I like to do is click this little options box here and then create a new shelf. And I'll name this the margin and I'll hit OK. And what I can do is go to modify and then holding the control plus shift key, I left click on an option, you'll see it pops up there. So if it's something I use often like center pivot, I'll click that. So I'll hold shift here. I'll show you another trick that I like to do, and that's this. Um, I love to use expert mode. So the way that I do that is I hold control and hit spacebar, and you see it hides my interface. Now that might be scary for a new person, so you can hit control and spacebar again to unhide. But if you hold the spacebar down, you see it gives you this hot box, right, that we've been using and allows me to switch to the left view. It lets me switch back to perspective. And up here, you see I have modify and I have center pivot. So I'll do this a lot too. So you're going to see me do that interchangeably. So I'm going to hit face here, hold shift, extrude this out as well. Just creating these walls. And I'm going to go to object mode, hold shift, drag this over this way, grab this face. Actually, I might just leave that here and just create the wall a little bit closer. Oh, actually, it looks like both of these. Now, here's another trick. If I select this and hold shift and select both, you can see one has this dark green and this has this white. And when I go to face mode, now I can select the faces on both of these. So you can see this face and this one. I can move them in together. Now, this wall definitely needs to go all the way across this way. All right. So really, I'm just kind of like stealing these little pieces, moving them around, as I see fit. It's faster if you're grabbing things from the scene. So object mode here, let's steal this wall, hitting R, just placing all of these pieces in place. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to pause the video and just kind of lay out the rest of these walls because it seems like I'm pretty sure you've got the idea at this point. All right, so now that we've got all these walls laid out, pretty much using the same technique that we had before, we're going to go ahead and just knock out some of these fixtures. Now there's a really easy way using this tool called the interactive creation tool. So I'm going to turn that on and then go back up to create polygon primitives. And notice it has a check mark here. Now if I go to cube, right, so polygon primitive, and I go to cube, I can actually left click on the corner here and drag out a base. And then once I let go, you might be wondering, well, where is the height of this thing? And if you saw that little pop-up, it said drag up to mark the height. So there's that. I'm going to hold shift, drag out another one here, go to face mode. And then I'm going to grab this guy over here, just place him. So these are just going to represent gray boxes of those cabinets. Now this seems to be one big island here with a raised area. So the oven will sit somewhere on the top there. And so for the time being, we're just going to place this like this. And I'm guessing that there maybe is there's another little cube here, and I'm not going to go too crazy with the modeling, but I'm sure it's a little lower. And let's center our pivot. And I noticed in my diagram that it has a little bit of a beveled edge here. So I'm going to go to edge mode. And then here with that selected, you can notice there's all these different tools. And what we're looking for is, let's see, I believe it's edit mesh bevel here. I'm going to click this little options box, and you can see segments. If I change that to 2 and I hit apply, you can see it added 2. So it gave me a nice little edge here. Now if I increase the segments here, I'm just holding the left mouse button here and rotating it. You can see I get an even nicer curve on that edge. Alright, I'm going to go to object mode now. Looks pretty good. Our primary focus for now is just going to be this kitchen area for the inside. I'm going to do one last thing, and that is, in this video, is just knock out a roof. So now that we have the interactive creation on, so interactive creation, we can drag this out across from the corner here all the way to the corner here and drag this up. Looks like it's shot up pretty big. Let's bring that down a little bit. And I'm just going to plop this on top. Now, another thing I'd like to do is start to hide these in layers. So I'm going to create a layer here, and I'm going to call this layer here roof. And I'm going to save that. I'm going to make a new layer. Let's right click, add selected objects, hide that roof. There we go. Select all these walls. And then on this layer, double click it and call it walls. And save that, and then hide that. Let's make sure that I right click and add selected objects. And then I'm going to make another layer called appliances. Sometimes if you still have it selected and you create a new layer, so for example, as I select these, then you create a new layer. Notice if I hide that, it added those. So I'm going to double click this and I'm going to name this appliances. Now I'm going to not delete this layer here because in the next video we're going to create the decks, and I'll probably throw that on that layer.